The USDA estimated that raising one child from birth to age 17 costs about $233,610 before college. But the real cost is structural. Children do not just add expenses, they change which expenses exist. Start at level 1 before the math changes. Level 1. The DINK apartment. You and your spouse are both working full-time, both still believing adulthood can be measured by rent, travel points, dinner reservations, and retirement contributions. Your apartment has 2 bedrooms, but the second one belongs to adults. It is an office, a half-committed home gym, and a place where Amazon boxes sit for 3 days before anyone breaks them down. On Sunday nights, you open a spreadsheet and feel responsible. Rent, utilities, car, payment, student loans. 401k, Roth, IRA. Everything has a cell. Everything has a number. Everything feels measurable. Your grocery cart is still light. Coffee, chicken breasts, sparkling water, frozen dinners, maybe a bottle of wine if the week was annoying. At checkout, the receipt is small enough to fold once and forget in your pocket. On Friday afternoon, you and your spouse can decide to drive somewhere for the weekend. Fly to another city or book 2 cheap seats out of town. Because the calendar still belongs to you. The U.S. Census Bureau lists the average U.S. household size at 2.53 people, which means the 2-adult household is common enough to feel normal, but small enough to stay flexible. You have coworkers with kids, but they seem to live in another country. One of them leaves the office at 4:45 sharp every day, laptop half-closed face already somewhere else. You quietly think they are less flexible. The reality is different. They are living with less margin, not less ambition. You feel free and untested in equal measure. At this level, money still buys options. Time still feels like private property. Your future still looks like something you can optimize. Your life still fits inside a carry-on suitcase. Level 2. The first child. You are now the parent who refreshes daycare waitlists during lunch, compares health insurance deductibles after midnight, and realizes the smallest person in the house has become the largest line in the budget. The second bedroom is gone. The desk is folded into the corner of your bedroom. The exercise bike has been sold to someone who promised they would actually use it. In its place is a crib, a changing table, a white noise machine, and a tiny laundry basket that somehow fills faster than yours ever did. You tour a daycare where the director hands you a laminated tuition sheet. With the seriousness of a mortgage lender, she says infant room availability like she is discussing a scarce natural resource. You nod, smile, and do math so quickly your face stops moving. That night, your spouse opens the HR benefits portal. You compare premiums, deductibles, dependent coverage, and out-of-pocket maximums. While the baby sleeps in the next room, the pediatrician's office already has your credit card. The kitchen counter has a bottle, warmer a stack of mail, and a hospital bill you keep meaning to understand. Then comes the first bulk grocery run. Diapers, wipes, formula, baby detergent. A pack of onesies that seems cheap until you realize this has moved beyond shopping into restocking. Childcare. Aware of America reported a national average childcare price of $13,128 in 2024. Which helps explain why the first child can feel less like a new budget line and more like a second rent payment. Smartat Asset's 2025 child cost study estimated that raising one young child in Arizona costs about $26,624 per year, while Massachusetts exceeds $44,000 and Mississippi is about $19,178. Every family pays differently, because geography becomes part of parenthood. The zip code on your lease quietly decides your monthly budget. You feel deeply in love and financially cornered in equal measure. The first child does not add one expense. The first child makes every expense answer to a new person. The baby monitor becomes the loudest financial document in your house. Level 3, the family of 4. You are now the parent with 2 car seats in the back. One child asking for snacks. One child crying for no clear reason, and a Zillow search history that has quietly replaced your travel tabs. The apartment that once felt efficient now feels like a container you are overfilling. Laundry stops being a chore and starts behaving like weather, arriving whether you caused it or not. The dishwasher runs every night. The stroller blocks the hallway. The old office is now shared territory, and every object in your home seems to have wheels, batteries missing parts, or someone's name written on it. Your car still technically works, but technically becomes a dangerous word in family life. 2 car seats turn the back row into a puzzle. The compact SUV that once felt practical now feels like a negotiation every time someone drops a toy under the seat. You meet a realtor, then another, then one more. They talk about school districts, storage laundry rooms, backyard shade, commute times, and interest rates. You pretend you are still choosing a home based on taste. But the truth is that your children are now choosing square footage for you. NAR's 2025 profile of homebuyers and sellers shows that 24% of recent homebuyers had children under 18 at home, a historic low, which makes the family-sized home feel less like a default path and more like a specific economic decision. Your first child is jealous of the second child. The second child inherits the stroller, the clothes, the board books, and eventually the suspicion that nothing in life is truly new. Hand-me-downs become a financial strategy. Grandparents start appearing more often, not only as guests, but as backup infrastructure. The Bureau of Labor Statistics, consumer expenditure surveys track spending by household characteristics, including family size, because the number of people in a home changes the structure of spending itself. Food, transportation, housing, and healthcare all start moving together. Still, something settles. A restaurant hostess says table for 4, and for the first time, the number sounds complete. A standard hotel room still works. One adult can still handle one child. The family calendar is crowded but not yet impossible. You feel complete and permanently exhausted at the same time. For the first time, your family no longer feels temporary. Anti-FOMO pause. Pause here for a second. This video is not ranking family sizes by happiness. Some households thrive for decades at level 1. Some families find their best years at level 4 with chaos in every room. Brookings has framed the modern cost of children as both an economic and policy issue, which matters because family decisions are personal, but the constraints around them are measurable. The point is to see the structural cost before the decision arrives, so the choice is yours, not the maths. Level 4. The outnumbered household. You are now the parent who can no longer cover every child with one glance, one free hand, or one uninterrupted conversation. 3 children breaks the symmetry. With 2 kids, 2 adults could still pretend there was a system. With 3, someone is always uncovered. 1 child needs help with homework. 1 needs a bath. 1 is crying because the wrong cup was placed on the wrong side of the wrong plate. The weekend question shifts. What do we want to do? Becomes, who is driving whom? Soccer practice overlaps with dance class. A birthday party lands on the same morning as a pediatric dentist appointment. 1 child gets sick and the entire calendar collapses like a folding chair. The grocery cart grows heavier, not dramatically at first. Then, all at once, milk disappears faster. Snacks become a budget category. Shoes become seasonal expenses. Someone always needs a new jacket, a replacement water bottle, or a permission slip signed by tomorrow morning. Vacation changes too. Vacation stops being rest and becomes project management in another location. Airbnb filters move to sleep 6. Restaurant booths stop working. Airport boarding becomes a small public performance in which your family tries not to lose a backpack, a stuffed animal, or a child. Pew Research Center found that the once dominant 4-child family has been replaced by the 2-child family, with 41% of mothers at the end of their childbearing years reporting 2 children, and 14% reporting 4 or more. That is why larger households can feel socially familiar, but logistically less common. Then, the minivan enters the story. At level 1, you would have laughed at it. At level 4, you understand it as an elegant piece of American engineering. Sliding doors transform from embarrassing into mercy. Cup holders work less as accessories and more as conflict prevention. Grandparents and babysitters stop being extra help and become load-bearing parts of the household. Your spouse becomes less like a romantic partner during weekday evenings and more like a logistics coordinator with whom you happen to share a mortgage and a deep emotional history. You feel rich in family and poor in margin in equal measure. 3 kids is not just one more child. 3 kids breaks the adult coverage model. Nothing in your life is spontaneous anymore, including exhaustion. Level 5, the reorganized life. You are now the parent whose career decisions revolve around pickup times, insurance networks, flexible schedules, bulk groceries, and whether 2 full-time jobs still create more life than they consume. At 4 kids or more, the math stops behaving like normal math. Beyond one more lunchbox, one more backpack, one more pair of shoes, this becomes a different operating model. A promotion that requires travel is no longer an automatic yes. A higher salary with a longer commute may be worse than a lower salary with flexibility. One parent may reduce hours, move remote freelance switch industries, or leave the workforce entirely. Ambition may still be there. The household now has more moving parts than a job description can see. Pew reported that in 2021, 18% of U.S. parents were not employed for pay, including 26% of mothers and 7% of fathers. A reminder that work decisions inside families often respond to care demands as much as career goals. The garage has labeled bins. The pantry looks like a small distribution center. Bulk grocery shopping is no longer a store visit. It is part of your supply chain. The minivan floor contains snack wrappers, cleats, library books, water bottles, and one sock no one claims. Older kids help younger kids. Sometimes beautifully, sometimes loudly, sometimes because nobody else has a free hand. The Federal Reserve's survey of consumer finances is built around family balance sheets, income, pensions, assets, and debt, which is the language this level forces you to learn. A family of 6 does not only ask, "Can we afford this month?" It starts asking, what happens to wealth, retirement, and risk if every decision scales? At dinner, the table is chaotic. Someone spills water. Someone refuses the food they liked yesterday. Someone tells a story that makes everyone laugh. And for 1 second, you understand why people build lives that make no sense on paper. Then your phone shows you a memory from years ago. 2 adults in an airport, one carry-on, each smiling like time belonged to them. You miss that version of yourself, but you are not sure whether you miss the person or just the lightness. You feel deeply needed and quietly erased in the same breath. You stopped building an individual life years ago and somehow built something larger instead. In the beginning, you looked at a clean spreadsheet in a quiet apartment and thought, 1 kid can't change the whole math, right? Future you is standing beside a minivan filled with snack wrappers, water bottles, soccer socks, and small shoes scattered across the floor. You are tired in places you did not know could be tired. You are also loved in ways your old spreadsheet had no category for. Family size is not just a number, it is a multiplier. Before adding the next family member or deciding against it, do 3 things this month. 1. Calculate your current annual cost per family member, housing, food, transportation, and healthcare. 2. Compare it to the USDA's $233,610 estimate divided by 17 years, which is about $13,742 per child per year nationally before college. 3. Identify 1 current expense that would scale non-linearly with a new child. Housing, transportation, childcare, or healthcare. That 1 expense is the real signal. Which child changed your finances the most? And at what point did your family stop changing your budget and start changing who you were?